All right. Nice to meet you guys again. Today we're going to be going over Hunter. But Zax, this isn't Force. Yes. Yes, I'm aware this isn't fucking Force. Unfortunately, due to time management issues, the Force video is going to be delayed. However, we don't have an exact date on how long it's going to be delayed. So, because, well, everyone else in the team started bugging me about it, we've decided to put it on the back burner and try to get some other material done. First up is Hunter, and followed by that will be the remix / edit of the Hero class review. Yeah! Which, that one's been burning a hole in my side for quite some time. It's not that I don't hear you guys say you redo it. There's a lot of stuff that seems, like you're rushing through it and then slowing down in between. It's because every time there's a new video, someone says, can you go redo it? And it's not like we're ignoring you. It's just, I'm tired of fucking typing it at this point. So yeah, let's get into it. A brief history about Hunter. It was one of the first classes to be conceptualized in all of the Phantasy Star Online series. So it's the Grandpappy. You will respect its authority, or you will respect the strike attack. Its primary weapons are sword, which most weapons in this game are, but to be more specific, two-handed sword, also referred to as a Zweihander or bastard blade. Wired lance, which is neither of those things and looks more like a energy claw, or rather a energy whip with a blade on the end of it. I'm sure there's a better name for this thing somewhere online or just throughout history, a weapon type like this. And partisan, which is another word for lance if memory serves, and even though this is a lance, it's called partisan, even though there are weapons and camos called lances. I don't know how that happened, but let's not get into that right now. All right, first up, we're going to talk about Big Daddy. All right, so first and foremost, every class has one primary weapon that usually has the highest strike attack damage. Has the highest base damage for the class. In the case of the Hunter or the old classes, Hunter specifically, it's the sword. Does it swing slow? I mean, yeah, a little. They did patch it out, I want to say 2-3 years ago. I don't know when North Americans are going to get it if you haven't already. But primarily, don't assume that this weapon, like any other weapon, hits with one primary style. Obviously, based on how it looks, you would think that it's meant to hit maybe one or two enemies directly in front of you, and it's going to do the highest damage due to how slow it is. However, weird things happen with this. For example, this class, or rather this weapon on this class, can use energy blades and energy waves to hit more enemies than would normally be possible with this weapon, as well as cover great distances based on the photon arc you're using. See that? Ran the entire length of the ship. Don't expect me to pick any fights right now. My main purpose right now is just to show you things. Because it can charge up, or rather it has moves that are capable of being charged, some of its attack damage can easily be modified. Does it take a while to charge? Obviously. But all in all, the fact that you can hit long range, medium range, and you even have one throw, and I stress the term, one throw maneuver with this weapon, and an energy wave attack, which I don't have equipped on me currently. And I don't know what they're going to call it in North America, but we call it Sonic Arrow. Sonic Arrow? It's not even a fuck. Translations. Sonic Arrow, for example. So, don't ever feel like, especially in a science fiction game, just because your weapon looks a certain way, it can only do or fight in one certain format. Look at that thing. That's insane. And yes, you can guard cancel. Pretty much do that for everything in this game. Now, as far as cons with the weapon, and again, these are things that can be easily mitigated later on due to how the skill tree works as well as your gear gauge, but they need to be mentioned as if you're a level 1er or you're just someone starting out. The high damage maneuvers, with the exception of about 2, require you to charge something up. I'm not just talking about the complex photon arts, which are limited to one weapon per class, and the sword has it for the Hunter. But I mean in general. there are photon arts where you can do an excessive amount of damage and it augments or alters what your attack animation looks like simply based on how long you're holding the button. However, these moves usually take about 7 seconds to fully charge up. 7 seconds where you have to dodge or possibly dash or block, but it ruins your charge, as you can see. And you have to start from scratch. You can't hold them in like with the photon, like with the spell on the force, and even then that's a skill tree item itself. Other than that, that's one of the only true cons. Another con, which is primarily subjective, is the fact that some of your most devastating moves with or without a charge, as you can see, they take forever to get around to. Oh look, it's a stranger in a bikini. Hello, stranger in bikini. Anyways. Moving on, next is the not wired lances. Okay. Just going to give this to you point blank. This is one of the funnest weapons I've ever utilized in an action RPG, let alone a science fiction action RPG. Sega made a monster with this thing, and it's fucking beautiful. Not gonna lie. As far as pros with the weapon, if it's in front of you, around the corner, next to your best friend, next to your mama, you can probably hit it with just pressing one button. You can fill your photon point meter so fast if your mob has as little as 2 people, let alone 7. Yes, if you do it right and angle it, this thing can hit 7 people in a mob just with its fucking normal attack. It is a beautiful sight to behold. Now, the next 2 things are both a pro and a con, and we'll talk about the pro section of it. You have single target maneuvers. And the single target maneuvers do high damage on average. And you have the ability to do grapple maneuvers, which defeats the purpose of your mid-range ability. However, there's usually area of effect damage associated with the grapples. So even though you are hitting one person or grabbing one enemy at a time, you can still hit like maybe 5, 6 if you play your cards right, especially if it's someone dead smack dab in the middle of a mob. Oh, is it so fun when you do that. Also, stationary bosses. Kryptonite, thy name is Wired Lance. Imagine doing your strongest moves where you usually have to worry about an enemy moving out before it gets to the part where knockback may kick in, or if there's a stun portion of it, but it's a stationary enemy. They gonna eat all that wondrous damage. And they gonna eat that ass up like it's Oreos. Fun fact. Greatest or world's best selling cookie? Oreos. And not even the like fun flavors like the regular base one. Now, steering may be a bit of an issue depending on which photon art you're trying to use. Also, because of the creativity of Sega and the wide range of uses or wide range of attack angles for the photon arts, it's not uncommon for people, much like with the Gunner's twin machine guns, to have 2 sets of wired lances on their weapon palette. I currently only have one, but that's because my primary use wasn't maxing out efficiency on my photon art list. It was showing you the classes. Speaking of, let's get into those cons. I know, weird segue. Okay. Oh yeah, last pro, forgot to mention, you have one of the best dash attacks in game. Yes, that thing does actually still hit multiple enemies. Oh, it's fucking beautiful. But yeah, the cons. Well, let's go into that pro/con one I referred to earlier. The pinpoint accuracy maneuvers can suffer from enemies just moving, or if they can fly, detection not properly angling up to where they are, or it detects them when they're on the ground before they move up, and then you're running into a big issue. It's annoying. In fact, what is this? Other Cyclone, not Other Cyclone, sorry. I don't know why I called it Other Cyclone. I'll change this real quick. Air Pocket Swing is very, very unique. Not just because of its movements. Air Pocket Swing is also unique because it only really has 1 or 2 striking angles. Let me see if I can get a proper angle on this. When you see those golden smears, That's the only time it's attacking. Not to mention, it's hard to utilize repeatedly because not only does it end with a backflip, but rapid pressing of the button doesn't even get the full combo out, and it moves you above your target. Look how far I got. I'm all the way up here. So even though it's one of your most devastating attacks, I can tell you right now, you really only want to use it when you're fighting a boss or something stunned into being stationary. It's annoying, it's infuriating, but oh my God, when you hit it just right. When you hit it just right. It's like getting fresh seasoning from Salt Bay. People don't know who that is anymore. Furthermore, some of your best attacks in the game, like your ability to electrocute a singular enemy with rapid button presses after catching them, bro, it only targets one enemy, it locks you in place, which means other enemies can smack you around because, well, even though dash canceling applies for a lot of things, the grab maneuvers don't always have that in effect, no matter what class you are. So sometimes you have to end it prematurely, like if you do other swing or wild swing, whatever you prefer to call it, and you grab the enemy and you spin them around by holding down the button so fast that they catch fire. Yes, it's a real move. And I know it sounds fucking weird, but hey, Sega made it. Don't ask me how they came up with that stuff. And I don't know how to put it. It's just, you will fall in love with the photon arts of this class, but you'll also be frustrated when you miss. God help you if you miss. Sometimes you could even do it right. You could hit the proper enemy with its elemental weakness, get your strongest pinpoint attack, but because you got to worry about external damage from a secondary or tertiary enemy in your background, foreground, on your side, or some big energy blast coming from a boss, you got to move out the way and reduce the damage and lose out on the photon points. This is a high risk, high reward situation. Will it result in you dying a lot? Hell no. But it will result in you not being able to maximize your damage. However, damage maximization and personal play preference don't always go hand in hand. Who really wants to only do one button, one button, one button, one button, one button every single combo? I could probably do that a lot more. But yeah, other than that, and this is debatable, this is completely subjective on my part, like it's not unilaterally got in bad issue. I feel like the final move on the normal attack, it takes too long to come out. Like the animation on that cross slash at the end should be sped up. However, that falls under the category of personal gripe. So yeah, on to the not lances. Good old partisan. Now on paper, the issues with this would be pretty simple. It's really meant to only hit straight ahead, but you swing the weapon in every single one. You don't really do no thrusting. And you may hit 2 or 3 enemies that are directly in front of you. However, this is a science fiction / Japanese game. So that's a non-issue. Do you see my wave? Do you see my wave? With the utilization of the gear gauge, not only do you get a damage boost, but you also get an attack range increase when it comes to your special effects and energy wave attacks. And you've even got a couple throw maneuvers. You really only got one. Sorry, not a couple. You've got one. And it even has an unusual long range technique that I don't really understand. I'm going to throw this lance / partisan into that big rock. And somehow a wormhole opens up and lets it teleport back into my hand. I've learned not to question Sega. Just accept that they giveth and taketh away. The pros for this weapon are the fact that it's one of the fastest hitting weapons for the hunter, and its wide range damaging arcs are insane, as well as being able to do target damage that can also still hit people on the side, and its ability to, well, depending on which photon arts you use, because it also has charge and rapid fire photon arts, being able to do damage similar to the sword. However, obviously, the photon arts that let you get close to that are few and far between. In fact, highest damage photon art on the partisan is Tear Grid. But Tear Grid is a rapid stab situation. So even though pretty much every single sword photon art doesn't come near Tear Grid, You have to be stationary, pray nothing hits you. And then even after you let it go, there's that. So 9 times out of 10, you probably might have to dash out of it only to find out that you can't. Also, and this is for later on when you guys get access to your skill tree, the ability to build your meter is so fast it basically rivals fighter. Fighter is number 1, obviously, but this is the second best you can do. You can literally go into your guard motion, which is this spinning animation you see before you, and it'll build meter. On top of that, you can also just do your normal attacks and fill meter. Or your photon arts, which also fill meter. Usually you'll know when it's doing it when you do any maneuver and you see a red wave around your character followed by a spin of the weapon. The red wave symbolizing just attacks, and some of them even give you 2 chances to pull off a just attack. But whenever you see that weapon swing after an attack animation, rest assured you build in meter. In fact, there should even be, if memory serves in the skill tree, an option that lets you build your meter for this particular weapon faster after you go into those animations. So basically, you're almost always maximizing the damage for the photon arch you're using. If you hit a just attack and you got at least 1 bar, you know for a fact you're doing the highest possible damage of that, short of having your dexterity at max. It's a beautiful sight. You hit all ranges, you have 360-degree maneuvers, you got a decent throw that can be charged up, you got rapid fire maneuvers that can also be held down. You really can't go wrong if you love the sword or the wired lance. I'm sorry, the wired lance or the partisan for this class. I'm not saying sword is bad. Like I said, it's the big damage daddy. But at the same time, the fact that the rivalry between the 3 is almost balanced based on what they naturally can and can't do and gain over time by player mastery and skill tree is pretty fun. That being said, let's go into cons with this weapon. I don't have any. I'm sorry. Not really. I really don't have any. I've been playing with the partisan on and off, primarily on, for 8 years. But if you want to be real technical, 7, because this final year I've been doing a lot of the successor / advanced classes / scion class / I don't give a fuck what you call it at this point. Do you, boo boo. And that means that if it wasn't for those, I would still be in love with the partisan. I'm sorry, but I really don't find that many faults with it. There's no angle that it has an issue with. Does it have a lot of long range stuff? No, but the one it does is good. It's not meant to do that. And if you worried about, man, the hunter weapons suck because they can't hit very far, why the fuck you playing hunter? Seriously. Anyways, that's it. I'm sorry. I legit don't have cons. However, if you do have cons, feel free to let me know in the comments. It's not that I'm not going to believe you. It's just that I'm going to immediately, if I see a con for this weapon in comments, I'm going to think to myself, okay, is it a subjective con or is it personal opinion con? Shit, how far can this go? Oh, that's beautiful. I learned something new today. So yeah. That being said, let's move on. Next up, ye old skill tree. Hello, Bay. Still can't get over the fact that this motherfucker's name is Bay. Hey, I'm curious what he's called in the US version as well as Doo-Doo. Yeah, there's a character in this game, or at least in Japan, named Doo-Doo. So yeah, let me know what they call Bay and Doo-Doo in North America in the comments. I'm kind of curious now. All right, so I hate to say it, but every time I say a skill tree or something on a skill tree is idiot-proof, someone goes out of my way to remind me, hey, nothing is idiot-proof. Idiots are immortal. They just evolve over time. So I'm not even going to say that. However, what I will tell you about the skill tree in an effort to keep it short, because the feedback on what we should and shouldn't do when we talk about the skill tree is very inconsistent. There are things people hate and there are things people like, and some people like the things people hate. I'm going to just try to keep it short. The entire left side of the skill tree, primarily when it comes to the hunter, is meant to increase your damage output. Strike attacks are your friend, but everyone likes increasing your damage percentage. Yes, I didn't say that's a bad idea. But listen, you get level 3 strike attack booster off this class. I literally think that there's only one other class that has this level of strike attack boost. And every time the maximum amount increases. So you're getting over 200 in your flat stat strike attack increase. Let me tell you something. What you think is more efficient? Being a level 20 with level 20 weapons, or being a level 20 with level 30, 40, and 50 weaponry? I'm just saying. Let's just think about that for a second. And that's not actually even hard. You get first arch just addition, step jump, air reversal, and then maybe you want HP boost. You take your ass right down here. It is not that hard it's not even hard and uncommon to get here around level 20. I'm just saying that because the quicker you get access to higher end equipment, the more comfortable you'll feel in higher end leveling and higher end mobs and bosses when you come across those. I hope your sub or your mat got some dex, because Hunter is straight up allergic to dexterity. You're going to run into the gears in the center, which we all saw coming. But everything after that on the left-hand side is either a just attack bonus or a fury boost modification. Literally, fury, just attack, fury, 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 fury. Which means obviously the right-hand side is going to be more geared toward the opposite of that, which is your defensive options. All guard is an absolute must. I'm kind of mad it's a main class only. It blocks damage from all directions while you're guarding. Personally, I feel like everyone inherently should have that ability. If they have an evasive maneuver or if they have a block ability, let them fucking block from all the sides. Also, one of the side notes or unusual things, if you can call it that, War Cry and War Brave, which draws enemy attention. But after that, with War Cry, you gain a damage bonus for 60 seconds and photon point recovery. Do this in a mob. See what you pull out of that. But yeah, the other side is the opposite. So for your Fury stance, you got Guard stance, which, as if it wasn't obvious, gives you a heaping helping of defense points and damage reduction, as you can see. And as you can see on screen, that's a level 10 iteration of it. However, it does not give you a boost in relation to T-Attack. Remember that. This entire tree pretty much doesn't mess with T-Attack until you get the Flash Tech Guard, which is near the bottom. Also, side note, I know this wasn't mentioned, but here's something I thought was cool. For some reason, they saw fit for your Fury stance, your Fury boost and Fury combos, and your just attack, all on the left-hand side, which you have to do with your power, to bring up your your range attack and your strike attack. See, increases striking and range damage inflicted during Fury stance. So that means if you have something like a gunner or a ranger as the main with Hunter as the sub, or vice versa, you're looking at a situation where you get more bang for your buck. Kind of a unique situation. I don't know who doesn't like soul atomizers, but if you don't like carrying around a lot of items on your character, Guard Stance has the ability to remove poison and remove the abilities of fire. I'm sorry, not fire, burning. I don't know why I said the ability of fire. Once utilized. Massive Hunter even reduces your knockback level. So those moves that you want to pull off, but you know, on average, they take a while to charge up, if even, that might help with actually executing them. Also, side note, for you gear lovers, don't be fooled by the fact that there's only one thing for each gear icon. When you get the sword gear, it increases how easily you can charge up all of your charge moves. So that means that it increases your genuine damage output or makes it more efficient. So all those moves like that 7-second sword swing where I just go up in the air repeatedly slashing it in the circle, imagine that move only taking about 3 seconds to fully charge up with a maxed out gear. Wired Lance, your photon art effects and energy blast, energy radius and effect damage is modified. The range is increased as well as boosting their power. Partisan, same thing. It consumes 1 gear gauge, but when it's used, it boosts the attack range and the power. So yeah, these are obviously a good idea. So that's all I'm going to touch on with this. Like I said, these aren't guides, but someone will find a way to disagree with me or argue that it is a guide. All in all you got to remember, if you're stuck on your tree, do you want power? Go over to the left. Do you want defense? Go over to the right. As you can see, I still have my combo strike ring, which I can't recommend enough when it comes to rings. Yes, it's a right-handed ring. Now, for those who don't remember, or those who haven't really invested a lot in the rings, keep this in mind. Left rings can be infused into your armor units. Right rings you can only wear 1 of, even though you've got a bunch of other digits, and I've said that a billion times. And they're usually pretty good, or they can be fused and combined into being something devastating. This is one of those cases. The all critical strike ring increases your critical damage and critical hit rate percentage. However, leveling/grinding it does not increase it. And what can I grind it? Nani okane. Grind value, ring skill level. Power does not go up, proc does not go up. But just in case some more naysayers show up, one of the more common rings I like to use for this class is called the Keeper rings, as we all know, or rather knew. The Keeper rings are pretty good. What happens is the Keeper ring increases how much damage you inherently do just by having your HP near its full cap, or just above 75 or either 80%. However, over time, the striking rings have outpowered them, as well as the Valor rings, but the striker rings are better than the Valor rings, which is why I'm not bringing them up. Now, this one is more debatable, and it's called the Adrenaline ring. I like using this one if and when possible, or if I know I'm just going to be dealing with mobs and not a super hard area, because you'll usually be running with someone who's capable of doing support, or you yourself might have a sub like Phantom, because it's one of the best subs for Hunter. Yeah, I said it. And of course, honorable mention goes to Effort Symbol. Obviously, duh. Mate Lover, because it increases the speed that you use an item. A healing item. Moon Lover, because it increases the speed that you use Moon Atomizer. And of course, Party of Defense. Party of Toughness. Party of Toughness, increasing your defense points by a percentage based on how many people in your direct party, not how many people on your same field. Apparently there was a mix-up at some point in time where someone got confused. Now, there are other rings that do alterations, such as Heavenly Fall, which applies a Just Guard effect to it. Meaning that if someone tries to interrupt you, they won't be allowed to interrupt you. However, Heavenly Fall is pretty fast. I've never been in a situation where I've thought I've truly needed this at all, in the slightest. Wired lands grappling photon art attacks without grabbing an enemy. That means that you're allowed to do or utilize the techniques that can only be done if you can grab an enemy, even if the enemy is ungrabbable. Of course, the ring fell out of favor some time ago. It's not that it's terrible, it's that people prefer to merge it into their armor instead of actually putting it directly on their finger. Now, this one is one of my personal favorites. I recommend keeping this as a left ring or infusing it. And it's Hunter Gear Save. It decreases the rate that your gear empties itself out while you're using it. So, you go in a room, the whole mob's dead, and now by the time you get to the next room or the next area where mobs spawn, your gear is almost gone. Not anymore, bro. And I believe its maximum charge rate is about 20. And you can level up your attack by 1 point or your defense by 1 point while you're grinding it. What classes synergize well with Hunter? First and foremost, you can play the game how you want to play the game. Just because I say or someone else tells you a class does not synergize well, hey, fuck them. You are the one who's having fun. You are the master of your destiny in a video game, at least to some extent. Fighter kind of goes without saying. In fact, they're good either or. Fighter's defense lack can be made up for by Hunter. So for those of you who are looking at speccing your Hunter to do primarily defensive stuff, and you have Fighter as a backup, you could make the Fighter more offensive, so it somewhat mitigates that difference. However, please keep in mind, not everything in game is going to be universal. So if you have Fighter and you want to use Fighter, but you got Hunter as a main, you might have issues depending on where you are in the game or what expansion and what region your game is in with being able to / having effective damage. The blood weapons will eventually come out, and they're all 14 stars, so it's not like they're easy to come across. The blood weapons will eventually come out, Hopefully a lot of people farm them so you can get them for cheap in the player shops. And the blood weapons are all 14 stars that can work with every single class in game, and they're universal. However, I know that those aren't in the North American versions yet. Gunner. Gunner is one of those rare mixes people don't often see, but it actually blends very, very well depending on if you're trying to get a bigger booster. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Ranger and Gunner and Ranger do have good synergy with each other. However, neither one of them inherently easily boost up their natural photon art and normal attack without some type of, well, restriction. Ranger, for example, has standing snipe and moving snipe, which increases how much damage you're doing based on if you're standing, based on if you're moving. I got Fury Boost. It'll boost me up just because it'll boost me up. The only time you want to use a Force or Attacker in Synergy, unless you like mixing those classes together, is in the event that you're trying to mitigate your T attack, or I'm sorry, your T defense or lack thereof when it comes to this class. Braver is one of those ones that people don't realize they go together like peanut butter and Nutella. As you well know, if you play Braver, the left-hand side of that tree is meant for katana and a lot of striking, and the right-hand side is meant for range attacks and augmentations of your range attack, and the middle is basic defense boosters, basic attack boosters, and some of your dex boosters. They go very, very, very well together. If you are Bouncer, but you primarily want to boost up the twin blades, hey, having Hunter as a main or a sub can't hurt you. But let's get into the advanced stuff, the stuff you really want to see. Also, side note, before someone asks, hey Zax, where did Hero go? I thought Hero came out in the Japanese version. As I've mentioned, Hero is a very, very weird case. Go to main classes. Boom. Hero is not allowed to be a sub or have a sub. Phantom is one of the best because not only do you get the T attack and T defense, but you gain the ability to use the actual T attack spells and whatnot. Please keep in mind though, for some reason, Sega saw it fit that if you have a sub that is one of the advanced classes, successor classes, scion classes, whatever you feel like calling it, I don't care, you cannot utilize those photon arts. So even though you will gain access to the weapons you see listed, gunblade, I don't even know why they mention anymore, rifle, rod, and katana, you will be using the photon arts from Ranger, Force, and Braver. You will not be using the Phantom-based photon arts. Why they did that? Fuck if I know. I know people who once they tried ET as their their sub for Hunter, never went back. Once you figure out what's the best thing to and not to utilize from the skill tree in ET, and they can blend well with Hunter, people just have a field day. They really, really do. So yeah, to summarize, it doesn't matter if you're trying to deal a lot of damage up close or you're trying to do it from mid-range or in a wide area, Hunter has something for everyone, and it does nothing but stack damage on top of damage on top of damage on top of damage on top of damage. However, remember, your weaknesses are very, very classical. You're not meant to take T attack. You don't grow a lot of T defense at all whatsoever. So your sub is almost important as your main. Yes, you have good defense, and yes, your block game is stupid strong, but your evasive maneuvers are some of the worst in the game. And your photon art mobility, which shouldn't be a thing because Sega should have just gave us the ability to use vehicles or run really fast, which they're fixing in New Genesis apparently. Not mad, just really wish they had got a hold of this 8 years ago. But other than that, it's almost hard to build Hunter wrong. You're either going to go defense, and people will say you're not following meta. Those are usually elitist douchebags. And people will say go striking, but the choice ultimately is yours. However, if you 100% dunk into your strike and you forsake everything else, please keep in mind that you might want to have a subclass that covers your weaknesses, whether it's with T attack or just defense in general. I hope you guys have a lot of fun with this class. It's been one of my favorites since 1999. And I will see you guys when I see you guys. Oh, just so we're clear, please don't expect a summoner video anytime. I'm leaving the production of the summoner video basically 90% into the hands of third parties. God knows how long it's going to take them when there's no basic direction. So yeah, you can finally look forward to the re-edit / redo of the hero video next. Okay! With that being said, I will see you guys when I see you guys.